setters, welcome to today's Maths Literacy Show. Today we have a special revision lesson in which we'll be doing exam questions. We have selected highlights from lessons shown earlier in the term to help you revise this term's work. So please post your comments and your questions on our Facebook page or on Twitter @LearnExtra so we can help you with your revision. You can also download the show notes for today's lesson from learn.mindset.co.za or click on the link on our Facebook page. Now it's time to get on with today's lesson.
Let's have a look at this question over here behind me. Complete the following table. Okay. So, here we have a person who has some money. Okay. They've got this money in the bank. And they've got 54 Rand 70. I'm going to change some words here, and I'm going to cross out this. Oops, let me get a pen. It's always good to have a pen. Here we go. Amount owing, and let's just say the balance. Okay, so I'm going to say balance, and I'm going to cross that owing out as well, because that's going to cause some confusion. So here, the balance at the beginning of the day. So on day number 1, somebody has 54 Rand 70 in their bank account. That's not a lot of money, but nevertheless, at least they got some money in, and at least there's not a minus in front of that 54.7. Leni, do you sometimes have minuses in your bank balance?
No.
Just 0.
Yes.
Okay. That's a good thing. Rather have a 0 than a minus.
Yes.
Minus is just not good. It really isn't. So there it is. They balance at the beginning of the day. The person has 54 Rand 70. And then something absolutely wonderful happens. Somebody puts 2,500 Rand into their bank account. So there's 54.70. They add, deposit means to put into the bank. 2,500 Rand. Now how much is in that bank now after that transaction? Now guys, I know you can do this in your head, and I know you don't need a calculator, but I'm going to put this on here because we're going to keep using this figure that's on the calculator. So I have 54 Rand 70. Somebody puts in 2,500 Rand. That is going to leave me with 2,554 Rand and 70 cents. Now, an important concept here, guys. I've said this before, but it is a revision session, so I'm going to say it again. And you know what? I'll say it again later on in the year, and I'll say it again just before you write your final exams. But listen to this. If you look at the calculator, okay, and if the camera goes in onto the screen, you will see that we've got a number 2554.7. Now, folks, if I write that down, let's do that, 2554.7. So I'm going to say I've got 2554.7. Oi, 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 oi. If you do that in your exam, I'm telling you now, you are going to lose a mark. And why will you lose a mark? And if James was here, he would tell you. He'd probably tell you the wrong thing, and I'd have to correct it. So let me just do it right up. You have to have a 0. In other words, you have to have 2 decimal places. Why must you have 2 decimal places? Because, folk, we're talking with rands and cents. And whenever there's rands and cents, there are 100 cents, 2 decimal places. Don't ever tell your teacher or your examiner or who's ever marking your paper that there's such a thing as 2,554 Rand 0.7. Okay? 70 cents. Now, that's our balance. Now, here's an interesting thing. How much interest is that person earning on that money for the day? So here is the interest. Now look at it. Guys, this is a tiny, tiny little figure. This person is earning 0.021%. Now that sounds like almost nothing, and it actually is almost nothing, but it's per day. So it's not like they're earning 8% a year. This guy's earning 0.021% per day. So now we can calculate that balance. And now you'll understand why I've put this up on the screen. Okay? So that's it. We're going to take that figure. We're going to multiply that figure now by, and what did we say? Let's just shift it this side, by naught, fraction button, and we'll talk about why now, 0.021%. And folk, percent means over 100. Equals. Now, before I even push equals, we know it's going to be a very small amount of money. If I get interest, a whack of interest is my answer, I've done something wrong. Because remember, I'm just calculating interest for a day. So it's not going to be too much, especially on 2,500 odd rand. So let's go for it. Equals, and there's my answer, 0.536487. I've got around that. How many places am I going to round it to? 2. Why 2? Remember, 2, not 1. Okay? Why 2? Because 2 decimal places for money. So I've got 0.54, and that's the interest. 54 cents. Sure, all that money and all the bank gives me is 54 cents for that. Now, what is my balance at the end of that day? Well, let's have a look at it. So out comes my calculator again, and I'm going to say, okay, cool. I had 2,554 rand and 70 cents. To that I'm adding 54 cents equals, and my answer is 2,555 rand 24 cents. So 2,554 rand, was it 54? I'm sure it wasn't, I'm sure it was 55. There we go. 55, so let's just rub that out. Here we go. Cool. And 55 rand and 24 cents. Remember, 2 decimal places, not 1. Okay, 2, not 1, because we're dealing with money. Now, what is my balance at the beginning of the next day? Well, my balance at the beginning of the next day, folk, must be the same as what my balance was at the end of the previous day. Because whatever I ended off with, I'm going to start a new day on. So what is that figure? Here it is. Let's scroll down. It's going to be 2,555 rand and 24 cents. And then a horrible thing happens. Okay? This guy's wife comes along and draws 500 rand. That's a sexist thing to say. I shouldn't say that. Hey? Okay. If that was my account, I would tell you now that wouldn't be my wife. Because she would have taken the whole lot, not just 500. Okay. So you got that money, 500 rand comes out of that account. If I take out 500 rand, so there's my amount, I'm going to subtract 500. And guys, I know we can do this in our heads, okay? But remember what I always say, when you write exams, hey, you get a little bit nervous. Your stomach does weird and wonderful things to you. Your heart races unbelievably. Your lungs breathe faster than they normally do. Your kidneys are spitting blood out all over the place. You're a nervous wreck. And you tend to make careless mistakes. So to stop that, we use a calculator. Okay, so 205524. So 2055 and 24 cents. Now, how much interest am I going to earn on that money? Now, guys, just doing a bit of practical kind of stuff. I know, look at here. When I had 2,554 rand, my interest was 54 cents. Now I've got less money in the bank. I know the interest I earn on that money, which is less, has got to be less interest. Okay? If I suddenly now get a whack of interest with with less money in the bank, I've done something wrong. So just understanding those basic little concepts, I'm actually looking at my answer and saying, hey man, does my answer make sense? And if it does make sense, chances are I'm on the right track. Okay. So some time ago, Lunine, you'll find this amusing. Some time ago, I had a question in a paper where people had to work out the diameter of an elephant's brain, okay? And one person got 3 kilometers. Now, folk, let's just think about this, okay? A meter is this long. 3,000 meters is 3,000 times this length. If you see an elephant, or any creature, it won't be an elephant, any creature coming to you with a brain 3,000 times the size of this, folk, you run, and you keep running, and you never stop running, okay? Because that is scary stuff.
Yes.
And that just doesn't make sense at all. Same with map questions. I've asked map questions and said to guys, calculate how far it is from Durban to Johannesburg. And people have done calculations and come up with something like 14 kilometers. Now, guys, I travel further than that just to get to the shop. All right? How is it possible for Durban and Joburg to be 14 kilometers apart? Or some people come up with ridiculous answers like, say, 52 million kilometers apart. I mean, we're going around the earth here, okay? So, guys, we've got to always ask ourselves, is my answer making sense? Now, I know I'm going to get interest, but I know my interest in this question is going to be less than 54 cents. Why? Because I have less than 2,500 Rand in my account. So out comes my calculator, and I say, right, that's the amount in my bank. I'm going to multiply it by 0.021%, means over 100, equals, and there's my answer, 43 cents. Remember again, folk, 43 cents, 2 decimal places, not 1, not 3, but 2. So 43 cents. And there it is over there. Cool. Now, let's see how much is in my bank after that second day. I've got 2,055 Rand and 24 cents. To that, I'm going to add my interest of 43 cents, and I land up now with an answer of 2,055 Rand 67 cents. So 2,055 67 cents. That's my balance at the end of day 2. And that's the end of that question. So I'm going to move on to the next one. In the meantime, is there any questions from our viewers?
Let me check for you.
You still checking? Okay, while you check, let me look at our next question. Okay, this is an interesting one, hey? According to the website, www, and there's a W missing because it should be www, not just www. You can see that I'm not very technologically advanced here. I put a www, not a www. Look at that. Okay, so according to the website www.businessesforsale.co.za, there is a hotel in Port Elizabeth for sale at a price of 4,750,000 Rand. According to the agent, one can make an average monthly profit of 45,000 Rand. Okay. Then they give us the table. And they say with the use of the table below, but the table's actually above. Okay. I don't know what's going on with my producer here. They're getting all kind of table below, table above. It's, oh, sure, let's try. With the use of the table above, determine if someone wanting to buy this hotel could afford the monthly repayments from the profit made from the hotel. On a bond, if the bond was registered for the full amount of 4,750,000, and if the bond was taken at 8% interest over a period of 25 years. Now, guys, some years ago, this came up in a matric paper. Not the exact same question, but a similar sort of one with that kind of table. And remember, in Maths Lit, you've got to know how to read all these weird and wonderful tables. So let's have a look at it. Okay. So the first thing is this. We told that we are taking out a bond. We're taking it out at an interest rate of 8%. Folks, here's 8%. So we know we're going to look at one of these values. And it's for a period of 25 years. And 25 years is here. So we land up with a weird and wonderful figure of 7,72. Now that is what we would call a factor. Okay? And we're going to learn just a little bit how we apply those factors. Now the great thing is this, that if you got this question in an exam, you would actually be given a formula. And your formula would say the following. It would say, to calculate the monthly repayment, we would take the amount that we take the bond for, we would divide it by 1,000, and then multiply it by our factor. Sure. So let me explain. We're taking an amount, we go to the bank, we say, seen this hotel, hey? Gotta have it. Just gotta have it. Need the loan. The bank says, sure, you're so good looking, I'm going to give you the loan. Right. And so the loan is for the full amount. How much did we buy this hotel for? 4,750,000. So we're taking 4,750,000. We're going to divide that by 1,000 and then multiply it by our factor. Now what is our factor? Our factor is 7,72. Okay? So multiply that by 7,72. And then when I do that calculation, I'm actually going to discover how much money I owe on that loan. So let's do that. Out comes our calculator. Let's just, okay. So it's 4,750,000. We're going to divide that by 1,000. We get an answer. We multiply that by 7.72. And we get an answer, and there's our answer. 36,670 rand. 36,670 rand. That's how much I have to pay back to the bank every month if I take out the loan for 4,750,000. Got to pay the bank back. How much? We're paying it back 36,670. Have we answered the question? No, we haven't. The question was, determine if someone wanting to buy this hotel could afford the monthly repayments if their profit was 45,000. Hey? Okay. How much was the profit? Let's just see. It was told 45,000 a month. So I make 45,000 a month. My installments are only 36,670. Folk, great news. I can afford that hotel.
Okay guys, I hope you are enjoying this revision session. If you are struggling and need help, please post on the page or send your questions to the Learn Extra Help Desk. The links are on our Facebook page. But now it's time to take a very quick break. Don't go away, we'll be right back. Welcome back from the break, guys. Doing revision is really important, so I hope you are enjoying this lesson. I'd love to chat to you on our Facebook page or on Twitter, so please let us know how you are doing. Enough of the chat, now it's time to get back to some more revision.
Here we go. Right, James, you're going to do some work today. Let's read it.
Okay. The owner of the post shop?
Post
The
shop
owner of
it
the
is?
post shop, when Nicole usually makes copies of all her documents, asks for her assistance. They are considering renting a photocopier. They approach two companies, Company A and Company B, and obtain the following quotations. Company A has a rental of 800 Rand per month, which includes 3,000 free copies per month. Thereafter, a charge of 5 cents per copy applies. Whereas Company B has a rental of 600 Rand per month, which includes 2,500 free copies per month. Thereafter, a charge of 10 cents per copy applies. And the monthly cost in rands of renting a copier.
Okay, so here, let's have a look at that. We want to rent a photocopy machine. So we go to two companies, company A, company B, okay? And we say, guys, we wanting one of your machines. What deal can you give us? Company A says, hey, we got a phenomenal deal. We're going to give you, if you pay us 800 Rand a month, we will give you, and I've already forgotten, so just look at that. We will give you 3,000 free copies every single month. So all you got to do is give us 800 Rand. We'll give you 3,000 free copies. But if you make any copies after 3,000, we're going to charge you 5 cents for every copy. Cool? Company B says, hey, you don't have to pay us 800. You only got to pay us 600. Well, we're not going to give you 3,000 copies free. We're only going to give you 2,500 free copies. But be warned, every copy you make after the 2.5, we're going to charge you 10 cents, not 5 cents. Okay, so let's have a look at this. Now here's a table that shows the number of copies made and what Company A and Company B are going to actually charge. Right. So I've got my photocopy machine. I get it from Company A and one from Company B, okay? And I now make a copy, right? Lloyd, Company A, every copy is going to cost me how much?
5 cents.
Cool, right?
Over the 3,000.
Yeah. James, Company B, every copy is going to cost me?
600.
Every
But then
copy.
10 cents.
10
Sorry,
cents.
sorry, my
Okay,
bad.
cool. I just got to say something here, James. Lloyd did not do Mathslit. He did Maths Core. Okay. You did Mathslit.
And
right.
cool.
So now what we're actually going to look at is we're actually going to have a bit of a competition here in studio between Mathslit and Maths Core.
Yeah, he's always pulling my chain at my maths core.
Okay. Yeah. And like the one week, he was actually quite sad.
Yeah.
Alright, so, okay. So Maths Core, you can't let me down, boy. Right. So here we go. So now make one copy. Company A, right? How much am I going to pay that company at the end of the month?
800 Rand.
800 Rand, absolutely. Am I not being charged for the one copy?
No,
Why not, Lloyd?
because you have 3,000 free copies.
Absolutely. Company B, I make one copy. How much is going to charge me?
600 Rand.
Absolutely, 600 Rand. Why are they not charging me for the one copy?
Because you have 2,500
Absolutely, free, hey?
free.
Okay, so that's great, and you can see that on the table behind me. One copy, Company A is 800 Rand, Company B is 600 Rand. Now make 2,000 copies. Company A is going to charge me what?
800 Rand.
That's because you can read the answer behind my back, hey?
Yeah,
Okay,
that might be the reason.
right, that's probably the reason. Right, Company B, how much are they going to charge me?
600 Rand.
600, all right? And that's not because you read, that's because
No, it's
you know.
because I'm pretty smart.
That's right, you're pretty smart. Okay, more smart than pretty, but that's another thing. Okay, now we make 2,500 copies. How much is Company A going to charge me?
Still 800 Rand.
Why?
Because you have a limit of 3,000 free copies.
Okay, Company B, 2,500 copies. How much are they going to charge me?
600 Rand.
600 Rand. Why?
Because they only give you 2,500 and you haven't gone over that.
Absolutely, you haven't gone over. So they've said, we will give you 2,500 free copies, but if I make 2,500 copies, they're all free. Soon as I start making, how many am I going to be charged extra?
10 cents a copy.
5 cents a copy.
No, but
Yours
yeah,
is
but
10
it's 10
cents.
cents a
Okay.
copy.
For how many copies?
for one copy.
For one copy. Okay. So here, what's my value of P going to be? You've already told me it's going to be 600 Rand. Brilliant. Okay. Let's have a look at 4,000 copies. Right. 4,000 copies. How many copies am I going to be charged for Company A, Lloyd?
You mean how much per copy?
No, well, we know it's 5 cents a copy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We know that. So 5 cents a copy. I'm making 4,000 copies. How many copies are they going to charge me for?
1,000.
Excellent. Why?
Because they're giving us 3,000 free copies.
Absolutely. In fact, that's important, and that's a concept a lot of matrics don't quite get. So if I'm getting 3,000 free and I make 4,000 copies, those first 3,000 I'm still getting free. So I'm only going to pay for 1,000 copies. And how much am I paying per copy?
5 cents.
5 cents. So 5 cents times 1,000. Should we use a calculator?
No.
Do you
Yes.
know this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, use a
No,
calculator.
no, 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 tell us. Do you know this?
Yeah, so it'll be 500 Rand.
500 Rand, he says. Okay, let's just check
no.
them quickly.
No, five.
So we got 0.05, and we're going to be charged for 1,000 copies. Right, equals, and we get 50 Rand.
50 Rand.
Okay.
50 Rand.
All right, so Matt's Corv just blundered.
Yeah.
It's quite embarrassing. Okay.
Well-
So Lloyd says confidently 500. Now, this goes to show what I always preach to you guys every single week that I'm on. And I say this. Even if you think you know the answer, guys, use your calculator. Why? Because it's so easy to make careless mistakes. And when you're writing your first exam, well, it's like being on live TV. You're nervous. And so you make silly, stupid, careless mistakes. So someone says to you, I got 5 cents, multiply it by 1,000, you shout out boldly, 500, you write it down and you get it wrong in the exam. Okay? Use that calculator wherever possible. So we know it's 50 Rand. Is that how much we're going to charge them in total?
No,
No, why not?
because it's above the 800 Rand a
You
month.
still got to pay that 800 Rand rental every month. So let's do that. So we're going to say plus 800 Rand. Now, I know we didn't need to use our calculator because you should have got it, but we're going to do it anyway, just in case we make a careless mistake. Can we get an answer of?
850 Rand.
850 Rand. So Q is going to be, oops, this pen's doing funny things, 850 Rand. Okay. Guys, let's quickly just discuss this. We've got the answers there, but let's discuss this. 8,000 copies. Company A, we're going to get how many free?
3,000.
How many we're going to pay for?
Anything over 3,000
So-
is 5 cents per copy.
Okay, and if we print 8,000 copies, we're going to pay for? 5,000 copies.
5,000.
Oh, yeah, we're only going to pay.
Okay, cool. All right. Math's cool. Okay, now, so we've got 5,000 copies, and we're paying 5 cents for each of those 5,000 plus the 800 Rand, and we're going to land up paying 1,050 Rand. With our company B, James, we are going to pay, we've got 8,000 copies. How many are we going to pay for?
5,500.
Okay, how did we get that?
Well, 8,000 minus 2,000 minus
brilliant.
500.
Okay. 8,000 minus 2,500.
500.
So we're now going to pay for the 5,500
500
copies at how much a copy?
10 cents a copy.
10 cents a copy. Once we've worked that out, we then add the
The 600 Rand.
600 Rand that we're renting it, and that's going to give me my 1,150 Rand. Okay, question 1, determine the missing values of P and Q. We've done it, and we did it well. Well, the maths lit guy did. That's cool. Okay, now, next question says this. I don't know what it says. It's gone away. Okay, here we are. The line graph below illustrates the total rental for Company B. Okay? On the graph, draw the same set of axes for the graph to illustrate the total rental payments for Company A. Okay, before we even look at Company A, let's discuss Company B. You will see that Company B starts at how much? James?
Oh, it starts at 600
600.
Rand.
Why?
Because that's the flat rate you have to pay for the free
Okay.
copies.
Now I've got a straight line here. I don't know. Can we see this line on your TV screen? There's the producer talking to me. I hope we can. Okay. Yeah. Okay, we can see the orange one. Right, so there it is there. And we can see that's a straight line. Why is that a straight horizontal line?
Because you're paying 600 Rand for 2,500 copies.
Okay, up to
Up,
2,500.
and then thereafter.
So if I make 500 copies, guys, I'm still paying 600. If I make 1,500, I'm still paying 600. Up to 2,500. Now I want to ask you, James, why is this line, this part of the graph, why is that a straight line?
Because it's 10 cents per copy, so it's a flat rate. So there's
Absolutely.
never ever a jump. between
Whenever I
those.
see a straight line, what word jumps to mind?
Constant rate.
Absolutely. Constant cost. You see, that's why this oak's getting like 92%. All right. So when I see a straight line means consistency. And what's consistent in this case? The fact that every copy is 10 cents. I'm not paying 10 cents for one copy and 15 cents for another and 45 cents for... It's 10 cents per copy. So I'm expecting a straight line. And that's exactly what I've got here. Right? Now, we're going to draw the graph for B, and we're going to draw it quickly, and then we're going to take an ad break. Let's ask our mathso. Lloyd, where am I going to start the graph for Company A?
You're going to start the graph at 800 Rand.
Okay, cool. At 800 Rand. Why at 800 Rand?
Because that's their flat rate for 3,000 copies.
Cool. And it's going to stay like that, isn't it? For how long?
For 3,000 copies.
For 3,000 copies. So up to 3,000, there it is. I'm now going to have, oops, I've
awkward.
gone wrong. I'm now going to have that straight line. Okay? Then I'm going to start going up. Would you agree on that?
Yeah.
Okay. And at 8,000 copies, when we go back, we will see that 8,000 copies for Company A cost me 1,050 Rand. Okay. So 1,050 Rand is somewhere over here. 1,050 over there somewhere. Right? What am I now going to do? Connect them with what?
With a straight line.
Straight line. Why straight line?
Because it's a constant rate.
Absolutely, James. So I'm going to draw a straight line, and there's my straight line. And with a bit of imagination, you can see that's a straight line. I don't have a ruler with me. Guys, you out there have a ruler. And let me just tell you something, eh? As an a matric examiner and a matric marker, rather, I get extremely annoyed when I come across some work and someone hasn't used a ruler. Then you deserve to lose a mark. Because you're now writing matric, and when you write matric, the least you need to take into an exam is a ruler. And I want my graph to be accurate. So I'm going to use a ruler because I could ask you questions on the graph, which we have got over here. Have we got time just to do 2 questions? So simple, let's do it. Okay.
I think let's just take a quick
All right.
ad break.
No, my producer said in my ear we can do
Oh,
it.
is it?
Okay,
Okay.
he's the big boss. You just
Yeah.
a maths guy. Okay, so here we go. Indicate with the letter A on the graph where the costs of both companies will be the same. Now, where will they be the same? Where they?
Where they meet.
Where they meet.
What's
Absolutely.
that point called again?
Where they cross. Point of intersection.
Ah, that's the one.
Okay. So that, and we're going to call that A. Why? Because the question says, call it A. So we've done that. Then very quickly as well, the post shop makes an average of 7,000 copies per month. Using the graph, determine which company would be best for post shop. Company A or Company B. How are we going to do that? We're going to say 7,000. Let's draw a little line here. Oops, gone wrong. Okay. Which company would I choose? Company A or Company B?
Company A.
Okay, because why?
Because it's less
lower.
money.
Yeah, it's less money, absolutely. The graph is lower than the other graph.
Okay, guys, I hope you're enjoying this revision session. If you are struggling and need help, please post on the page or send your questions to the Learn Extra Help Desk. The links are on our Facebook page. But now it's time to take a very quick break. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back from the break, guys. Doing revision is really important, so I hope you are enjoying this lesson. I'd love to chat to you on our Facebook page or on Twitter, so please let us know how you are doing. Enough of the chat, now it's time to get back to some more revision.
Let's have a look at our next question, and we've got plenty of time before the next ad break, so hopefully we'll be able to finish this off. Right, James, go for it.
On one particular job, Devon, who currently lives in Graaff-Reinet, has to travel to Matjiesfontein. With the use of one of the strip mat found on Annexure C, answer the following questions with regards to his trip. 3.1 says, how far is Matjiesfontein from Graaff-Reinet?
Okay, so we're going to look at this very carefully now. So here we have a guy called Devon, okay? And this question comes out of another question. So that's why it says on one particular job. Because in this exam question that I gave, we spoke about this guy called Devon, all right? So we now get to a question where we're saying, right, Devon lives in a little town called Graaff-Reinet, right? And he now has a job. And the job is taking him to another little town called Matjiesfontein. Yes, it's true. There is a place in South Africa called Matjiesfontein. Okay, and I will show you on the map as well. All right. So, do you know where Matjiesfontein is?
No, I don't.
No. Do you know where-
Karoo.
Okay, yeah, okay. So we've got Graaff-Reinet and we've got Matjiesfontein. So now what we want to do is we are going to look at a strip map. Now remember, guys, when we did this whole section on maps, you'll remember we looked at something called a national road map, James, which showed
All the
the-
national roads, like the N1, the N3.
Absolutely, and like the N1 starts in Cape Town, goes all the way through Johannesburg and
up
ends in a
to
little town called
the
Polokwane.
Polokwane.
And even through there, hey, it goes to a place called Bakebridge.
Yeah, by bridge, yeah.
Yeah, you know that place, huh? Yeah, okay, on the border there. Right, so it goes right across South Africa. And then we get another one called the N2, which starts in Cape Town and works along the coast and goes to Durbs. And even further, up to Richards Bay
Yeah.
and nogal further than that as well. And then we get the N3, and the N3 starts in,
Joburg.
well, yeah,
Oh.
and goes all the way down
To Durban.
To Durban, absolutely. So we got all these national maps. Then after a national road map, we get something called a strip map. And a strip map shows just the
The road.
information we need, just the roads from one town to another. Now, sometimes you cannot get both towns on one strip map. So you've got to get two strip maps. Look what I mean. So here now, I'll just push you with the push of a button. Let's have a look at this. Here I have a strip map, and it's showing the route from Beaufort West to Port Elizabeth. And you can see that over here we have Beaufort West and all the way down to Port, or East London rather, okay? All the way down through to East London. Now on that strip map, there is a place called
Mikey's Fontaine.
Kraaifontein.
Uh,
Kraaifontein
Kraaifontein.
rather.
There,
Okay?
there.
Here it is here. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's Kraaifontein. Now when I look at this map, I'm now going to also try and find a place called Monkeysfontein. Right? So let's do that. So when we look on this map, we go. Did you see it, James?
No,
No,
not really.
at all. Okay, why not?
Because it's probably on the other strip map.
Okay, because not only did I go very quickly, but even if I'd gone very slowly and we'd used the rest of these 5 minutes before the next ad break, scourging through every town, you wouldn't have found it because it's not on here. But now look here. There's another strip map that I've got, and it's showing Beaufort West to Cape Town. Now here's Beaufort West again, and it goes all the way down to Cape Town, right? And here is Cape Town.
There's Monkeys.
Way down here. Okay. Now in the strip map, did you manage to see Monkeysfontein?
Yes.
Where was it?
Just a bit up.
Bit up, bit up.
Right there.
And
Just above the western sign.
right over here, hey?
Right there.
Monkeysfontein. All right. Is that how, are we pronouncing this right, eh?
Yeah,
Monkeysfontein. If you live in Monkeysfontein, I apologize for that. No. If you live in Monkeysfontein, just let us know if we're pronouncing this right,
Yeah,
eh?
yeah.
Okay, Monkeysfontein.
I'd love to know if we had viewers in Mikey's Fontaine.
It'd be interesting to know if we got views. We must have some views, because we've got views from all over South Africa. In fact, I
Yeah.
heard the other day, even from Southern Africa.
Is it
which is
even a
quite
place?
impressive. It is, man. There it is. Monkeysfontein. It is a place. It's a little town. All right. Shame. It's cute. Okay. So there's our little town. Now here's the problem, guys. We've been asked to find the distance from Kraaifontein all the way to Monkeysfontein. Now, those towns are so far apart that we can't find it on one strip map. So we need two strip maps. When we use two strip maps, we have to find one common place on both those strip maps. Now, let's have a look at the second strip map. Do you notice that this strip has a place called
Beaufort
Beaufort
West.
West? As I go up, I get another strip map which has a place called
Beaufort West.
Beaufort West. What's my common denominator here?
Beaufort West.
Beaufort West. Now, when I look at the strip map, I see a whole lot of figures on the side. And these grey figures tell me this, that to go from Beaufort West all the way to Kraaifontein is how many kilometers, James?
206.
206 kilometers, absolutely. And that's if I'm traveling, kilometers, that's if I'm traveling from Beaufort West to Kraaifontein. If I go from Kraaifontein though, James, and I now go the other way to Beaufort West, how many kilometers will it be?
Still
So
206.
absolutely, eh? If I go this way, 1, 2, 3, close to the camera, hello, I've taken 3 steps. If I go this way, 1, 2, 3, I've still taken 3 steps. So from where I am to where the camera is 3 steps. From the camera to where I am is still 3 steps. So if I'm telling you that from Beaufort West to Craafrenet is 206 kilometers, from Craafrenet to Beaufort West is 206 kilometers. Let's go look at our next scale now. Now we find Beaufort West over here. Now I ask you with tears in my eyes. Woo, got to go all the way down. How far is Beaufort West, okay, and we're following these grey markers, all the way down to Matjiesfontein?
226 kilometers.
226 kilometers. So from Craafrenet to Beaufort West, if I can draw it like, say it like this, let's pretend you're Craafrenet, okay? And I'm Beaufort West, and you're Matjiesfontein. Okay, all right. So from Craafrenet to Beaufort West is 206 kilometers. From Beaufort West to Matjiesfontein is
226.
226 kilometers. Cool. So how far are you two apart?
You add those
You
together.
add those up. Would you agree on that? Yeah. So it's 206 plus a 226. Guys, do you understand how we're using 2 different maps to try and find out one bit of information? Okay, got to practice that. You really do. Go across to a website, okay, go to Google and type in strip maps in South Africa. And they will give you some, and click on images, and you will get a whole lot of strip maps on there. Or even better, go to the AA website. Now, don't get happy. I'm not talking about the Alcohol Anonymous. I'm talking about the Automobile Association. Okay? So go to the AA website, Automobile Association, and there you'll find a whole lot of strip maps. In fact, these ones behind me come from that very thing.
Yeah,
Are we
it
allowed
says
to
AA.
advertise Automobile? I don't know. But anyway, it
says
says
it
here
there.
that it came from there. Okay. Because we've got to give references.
It says
All
it
right.
there.
So there it is over there. And we've now worked out that the total distance is going to be the 226 plus, what was it? 206.
6.
Okay. So when we add up and
234, I think it is.
oops, what
Or
have I done here?
yeah.
Okay, yeah, there we go. When we add up, Lloyd, how do we add up?
We go 206
With a calculator, Lloyd? Agreed.
Oh.
Okay. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go 206 plus 226. And Lloyd, we get an answer of?
432.
432 kilometers. Okay. We worked out that the distance he had to travel was 432 kilometers. Let's have a look at our next question. Our next question says this. If Devon's vehicle can only travel 6,75 kilometers on 1 liter of petrol, due to the fact that the engine does not run well, show that he will need to stop en route to fill up with petrol if the petrol tank has a capacity of 55 liters. Okay, so Devon has a car. Now, guys, normally we would like to believe that your car can do at least round about 9 minimum kilometers to every liter. So for every liter I put in my car, I can travel 9 kilometers, okay? It'd be kind of cool if it's around about 12, 13, 14 kilometers. In fact, the new cars that work on both electrical power and petrol
the
can get up
hybrids,
to, you're not allowed to say that on air, we can't advertise. Okay, but the hybrids now, they travel round about, what's it, about 25 kilometers to a liter, somewhere around there, which is really cool. Okay, in fact, guys, I just heard, I know I'm deviating here, but I enjoy doing this. I just heard that the other day they had a car that traveled on electricity. From Durban to Joburg, it only cost like 4 Rand 10 cents. That's incredible. But then it cost another 43 million in electrical cords. But that, okay, all right. Right. That was funny, Lloyd.
I was laughing.
Okay, cool. All right. So now, when we look at this, we realize Devon's car's got a problem. It can only travel 6,75 kilometers on 1 liter of petrol. Okay. We want to know, if his petrol tank has a capacity of 55 liters, will he be able to make it from Craafrenet all the way to Matjiesfontein? Right, first thing, we need to know how far his car can travel on a full tank of petrol. Agreed? How are we going to do that, James?
Well, you're going to say 55.
Okay, so we got 55 liters.
Yeah.
Cool.
Times by 6,75 kilometers.
Okay, why are we doing that?
Because it's 6,675 kilometers for 1 liter. So you want to see how much is 55 liters.
Excellent. So if 1 liter does 6,75 kilometers, 55 liters is going to be 55 times 6,75. And obviously Lloyd knows from harsh experience that we use our calculator to do this. So we are now going to say, right, I've got 6 comma, what did we say?
75, yeah.
Multiply that now by 55 and we get an answer of
371.25 kilometers.
So 371.25 kilometers is the distance that I can travel with my car, or that Devon can travel with his car. Right. But how far is Monkiesfontein from where? Graafrenet.
No, from Beaufort. Yeah, from
Yeah, from
Graafrenet.
Graafrenet. How far is it? We worked it
It's
out.
220.
432
Oh, but that was
kilometers.
from Beaufort West.
Agreed?
Yeah, no.
Is he going to make it?
No, he won't
No,
make
he's not
it.
going to make it because he needs to get
32 kilometers.
kilometers and he can only get 371.25 kilometers. This guy has a problem, okay? He's going to have to stop at some stage and fill up with petrol. Here's an interesting thing, guys. What's the cost of petrol in South Africa? You should know. You got a car.
13 rand.
About 30, just under
13
14
rand,
rand, hey? Isn't it? Round
Yeah.
about there. Do you know what the cost of petrol is in the States?
Probably $3 a gallon.
Yeah, it's $3.33 a gallon at the moment. It's just come down one. And it actually equates to around about 8 rand 80 per litre.
That's cheap.
That's cheap, eh?
Cheap
And they
is-
are moaning there, saying, yeah, our price of petrol is crazy. And I'm like, hey, let's go for another drive. Okay, all right. So now my next question is this. Where would you suggest that Devon stops to fill up with petrol? Now, here's a question. Devon can travel 370 kilometers or 71 kilometers, and then he runs dry. Right. Would you suggest, Lloyd, that at 371, he stops now and looks for a petrol station?
No,
No, why not?
because the next petrol station could be 10 k's away and you would have run out of fuel by
Absolutely, hey? So the next petrol station could be another 10 kilometers away. Would you stop at 360 kilometers and now fill up with petrol?
No,
Why not?
because you still don't know how far the next petrol station away.
Okay.
Well, if you did, then yeah.
Well, this 371 kilometers that Devon can do, in theory, we've worked it out to be 371. But it doesn't mean that it's always going to work out like that. He might get much less mileage. Why?
Because you could be going faster.
Absolutely. He could have his foot down flat, vroom, and be going like one hang of a speed, and the car's just swallowing petrol. Why else could he use more petrol?
Because of traffic or...
All right, lots of traffic, a lot of stop, start. And every time you start accelerating, you've got to move. This whole vehicle's got to start moving forward. So it takes more petrol to get a vehicle started than to keep a vehicle running. Agreed?
True.
Okay, because momentum is helping with that, so you kind of don't have to push as much petrol. Except my mother-in-law, she always just hits the petrol. Okay, so we're not sure if our car's going to cover 371. So one's got to be careful. In fact, I have a philosophy. When I get quarter of tank, boy, look for a petrol station. Okay? Not like my wife. She takes it as a challenge to try and see how low she can get that needle below the red mark before I have a heart attack. All right, so where would you suggest she stops? So let's have a look now at our maps, or he stops. Right, so here we go. The first thing he's going to do is from Graafrenet, eh?
Yeah.
From Graafrenet to Beaufort West. So he's traveling along. We said that this distance was around about 206 kilometers. We also said that the distance from Beaufort West to Monkiesfontein over there is round about 226 kilometers. Okay. When you look at Beaufort West as well, guys, you will see that on Beaufort West there's a little huge petrol station, Star Shop. Okay. You know these huge petrol stations along these N1 route kind of thing. That might not be a bad place to stop. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Round about halfway.
Round about halfway. You've got 370 kilometers, you travel 206, you've got a good 170 odd left in your tank. Why not? You don't have to wait until you run dry before you fill in with petrol. Okay, so Beaufort West is a perfectly good answer. It doesn't have to be. You could say, you know what, I'm going past Beaufort West, and I'm going to try, because that's up to 206 kilometers. If I now keep going, all right, at Beaufort West, and we're heading all the way to Monkeysfontein. So we're following the N1 all the way. There we go, and we're going to go a little bit higher up to Beaufort West. You could actually say, you know what, we got 206 kilometers up to Beaufort West. From Beaufort West to this place called Gumka. Gumka? Have you heard of this place?
No, I haven't.
Oh, no, you have. Okay. Gumka is 75 kilometers. If I add 75 kilometers here, I'm going to get 281 kilometers. There's nothing to stop you from stopping there. You can stop there. Okay? And that's the beauty about this kind of question, is that there's no one definite answer. There are several answers you could do. But if you kept going and you got to Lanesburg, right? Up to here, we said we've got 281 kilometers. From Gamka, okay?
That's called Liam.
We'll call it Leo.
Liam.
Liu, L-E-E-U.
Liu.
Liu.
Sounds
Like
good.
a lion. All
Liu.
right. Up to Monkeysfontein is 151. Can I stop at Lanesburg?
No.
No, because now we're going to have a problem, hey? And our problem is going to be, we would have hit 432 kilometers already, and that's going to be problematic. Would you agree on that? In fact, not even, sorry, that's up to there. There it would be a little bit less. You'd add 30 plus 85, which is, what's that, 115, okay? So 115, that's going to give me 396 kilometers, way too much.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we clear on this?
Yeah.
Are we happy? Cool.
We've come to the end of today's show. Thanks for joining me and for chatting to me during the show. Please visit our website, learn.mindset.co.za, to get the notes and to watch the videos from earlier in the year. And remember, we are here to get you through the year, so stay connected. Goodbye.